At number 3, my all-time shooting guards list, it's Kobe Bryant. And gotta be honest, up until recently, I had him at number 2. But I had to give some reconsideration to a certain player. And I give longevity a lot of sway, in my thinking. It's one of the reasons why I ended up putting Reggie Miller and Ray Allen ahead of Pistol Pete Maravich, even though individually as a player, Pistol Pete Maravich was better. He was more dominant. Because Pistol Pete did not have the longest career, and Reggie Miller and Ray Allen had very long careers, and productive careers, I chose to rank them higher. And I was going to do the same with Kobe, but the guy I have at number 2 has 2 advantages to me. Now, regardless of whether he would be the same player in this era, I think it's kind of irrelevant, because I don't do that when I'm ranking. I'm looking at what they did and what they achieved in their eras. And the 2 things he has over Kobe is that he was more efficient, and this was coming in an era where a lot of guys weren't that efficient. He was strangely efficient in his era, and he also did something in his era that Kobe never did, and that's shoot 50% in the season. And his peak years were more dominant than Kobe. And he also had some of the best postseason runs scoring the basketball in history. And he did something in 1969 no player has ever done, won the MVP award by losing a finals. So, I mean, whether you think politics were involved or not, I don't know. But his numbers were worthy of him winning that award, even though they did not win that series. Like I said, this guy had some of the most dominant postseason runs. But anyway, Kobe Bryant, I think, was the 3rd greatest shooting guard of all time. Some consider him the 2nd greatest. The few Kobe-tars remaining might consider him the best, whatever. But I remember when this guy first came into the scene in 1996, after that trade, that draft day trade, Charlotte received Vlade Divac for him, in exchange for him to the Lakers. And this was coming after the Lakeshore era with Nick the Quick Van Exel, Still Three, and Eldon Campbell, as I said, the aforementioned Vlade Divac. And those teams were pretty good, but the Lakers were not perennial playoff teams. This team constantly either missed the postseason or were 8th seeds and lost in the first round. So Lakers were not getting the same press that they do now. But Kobe came into the scene, and a little bit I saw of him. Sometimes he amazed me, and then sometimes he made me shake my head in frustration. Because I remember Sammy Sosa once said that sometimes when he went up to bat, he tried to hit 2 home runs, every time he went up to bat. And I think sometimes you can say with Kobe Bryant, every time that he got the ball back then, and maybe you can say it's still, but he's gotten a lot better. Back then, it's like he tried to have a spectacular dunk and an amazing 3-pointer in each possession. Like he was trying to showcase his skills so much individually and disregard for the team concept a lot of times. And I think there's a time and place for that, where the Lakers up by 18, it's the 4th quarter, and you're trying to get a guy like you some playing time. That's fine. That's fine and dandy to showcase your skills and whatnot, and do little moves and dribble moves and all that. Kobe's game was a lot more raw back then, man. I think if you want to use the term exciting, he was a lot more exciting in his youth, the Froby Kobe, I like to call it. But when the Lakers are down by 3, sometimes you gotta go for the best shot, and sometimes Kobe could irritate you. I remember, I think it was a postseason game that year against the Utah Jazz, who were always kicking the Lakers' ass back then, and I think Kobe had like 4 air balls in a postseason game, and I remember a lot of people, kind of made fun of him for shooting that many air balls, and I remember Shaq saying something like, Kobe was the only guy that had the courage to take shots like that on that team, a rookie, an 18-year-old rookie at that, and that's one thing you can't say about Kobe Bryant, whether or not he's the most efficient or not. The guy never lacks the confidence when it comes to shooting the basketball. But anyway, Kobe has had many comparisons to Michael Jordan, and some of the comparisons are warranted. Both about the same size. Kobe about 6'6", 205 pounds. Jordan in his prime was about 6'6", listed at least, and about 195 to 200 pounds in his prime. When he came out of retirement from baseball, he was about 216, 217 that first year, and I think the last 2 years he played for the Bulls, he was around 210 pounds. Because if you look at Jordan that first year, and then you look at him the second and third year, he was actually a little bit quicker. His tendonitis really slowed him up. That first year he came back, he probably had a little bit too much weight on him. Anyway, the comparisons are warranted. Both of these guys are scorers. Both of these guys are very competitive, although I think that gets overblown with Kobe Bryant to an extent. Both of these guys could be a little bit aloof with their teammates at times, although Jordan became much better at interacting with his teammates as he got older, particularly after their retirement. I think that was psychological, because the prime Jordan could sometimes just beat a team on his own. He didn't really need his teammates all the time. But when he came out of retirement, he needed his teammates, especially Scottie Pippen. He realized that he did not have the individual talent to win games on his own all the time like he used to. He still was the best player in the league, but he wasn't as good as he used to be. So he needed Scottie Pippen more often, and he treated Pippen a lot better. He treated Pippen more so as an equal. He did. He treated him as an equal the second title run. Sometimes Kobe Bryant had an opposite effect with his teammates. He did not appreciate, to me, I didn't feel like he appreciated having Shaquille O'Neal on his team. And the Lakers, and it showed, eventually the Lakers went from being an inside-out team the year they won the championship in 1999-2000, and it slowly became an inside-out team. And you saw the ill effects of that when they played against the Detroit Pistons, a team I thought that they would easily dispatch of in a sweep of 5 games, and that has to be one of the greatest upsets in finals history. But that shows that a great team will always beat a great individual team will always beat a team of superior individuals. I think Kobe still deserves more criticism for that than he gets, but regardless, Kobe Bryant has sometimes you want to praise this guy to the heavens, and then sometimes you kind of look back and you have to be a little critical, so I'm not hating in this video. I'm just trying to be objective. I'm trying to bring out certain things that I observed and certain facts. Okay, I think he has one of the top 3 prep for pro resumes of all time. A guy that went straight from high school to the pros. The other 2, I think, who are a little bit superior would be LeBron James and Moses Malone. for Moses Malone still having the best overall. But I think LeBron James is going to end up even surpassing Moses Malone's legacy. But I think Kobe Bryant's prime was 2001 to 2008. He had some individual brilliant games, mostly coming in the regular season, usually against subpar talent, but still they were amazing. The 81-point game did not have the effect on me that most people, I guess it had on most people. That game was January 22nd, 2006, against the Toronto Raptors. And I can go into, the fact that the Raptors end up having the second worst defense that year. At the time, they had the worst defense, and and all that. But that game just didn't have the effect on me because it was 5 days after my mother died, and he could have scored 200 points and I wouldn't have cared. If anything, I got a little irritated because when I eventually did go on YouTube and looked at the highlights, which were numerous, and I looked at some of the I remember sitting there actually looking at the games. So I uploaded the whole game, and I was just annoyed at how it has to be the most selfish individual basketball game I ever saw. People can say, yeah, Wilt was selfish, but it never really was Wilt's only desire to go out there and shoot the basketball. His coach wanted him to shoot like that year. That game to me with Kobe just was so, I don't know, but they had a lot of individual games like that, but he was a brilliant basketball player. I still think his best season overall was 2002-2003. He averaged 30 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, shot 45% from the field. I think it was his best overall season to me. 35.4 points per game. Offensive onslaught season was impressive. Yes, but it is what it is. But individually, Kobe has put up some incredible numbers, and his resume speaks for itself. He's a 5-time NBA champion, 2 times the NBA Finals MVP, 2008 NBA Most Valuable Player, 15-time NBA All-Star, 4 times was NBA All-Star Game MVP, 2-time NBA scoring champion, 11-time All-NBA First Team player, 2 times All-NBA Second Team player, and 2 times All-NBA Third Team player. 9 times he was the NBA All-Defensive First Team. I'm not going to say too much about that. I think it should only be on at least 6 of those, perhaps, maybe 5. But anyway, 3 times All-NBA All-Defensive Second Team. He was on 1997 All-Rookie Second Team, 1997 Slam Dunk Contest Champion. He's the Los Angeles Lakers all-time leading scorer. He posted, so far he's posted career averages of about 25.5 points, 5.3 rebounds, 4.8 assists, 1.5 steals on 45.4% shooting. In the postseason, he's put up similar numbers, but probably has not dominated the way you would think he would. But still, particularly in the NBA Finals, but still, Kobe Bryant, in my estimation, is the 3rd greatest shooting guard of all time. I know some people will think I'm a moron for having him ranked only 3rd, but oh well. Peace.